I've definitely noticed that people are far more interested in variety of exercise, in body weight training, and in doing things that are going to help them to just feel good from the comfort of their own home. You know, it's great that we can now get outdoors and exercise, but not everyone likes to do running, and not everyone likes to exercise outside. So if you are someone that loves, you know, something like Pilates or yoga or strength training, everyone is coming online to look for inspiration and things to do.
What would you say are the three, if you could just choose three simple exercises for some of our Happy Place audience to do from home?
I think, you know, there's so many things, but for many people, one of my favorite sort of lower body strength exercises is literally just stepping up onto something. And it sounds really simple, but to build lower body strength, we just need to have a progressive overload. So asking our body to do a little bit more each time we visit an exercise. So one of the things I get people to do is just to climb the stairs. It sounds really simple, but it's such an easy thing.
Simple is good.
And if you don't have stairs, if you've got a step, you know, just stepping up, stepping down, and maybe you do 20 reps on the first day. The next time you do the exercise, you might do 30, and then in a couple of weeks you might do 50, and just building that up as you go through is a really good way to sort of challenge your body to do a little bit more. But two of my other favorite exercises, one of them is going to be focusing on core strength. So I love any sort of isometric hold. So something like a plank is really, really good and can be done with only your own body weight. And then also a push-up, which is a really, really good exercise that people often, they push the back because they don't really like doing push-ups, but actually it's such a great exercise for upper body strength. So maybe like within my live videos that I've been doing, where I coach people, we've been working on breaking down the push-up and working on individual components of that to see how we can help people to then get to doing a full push-up, which is often something that feels really challenging, particularly for women. So that's been really fun. So those are my kind of three favorites at the moment.
Gosh, breaking down the press up is a brilliant idea, because for me, it is so apparent how weak I am with a press up. You know, some exercises, you know, the stepping up, you'll notice a gradual improvement in your fitness and your strength. Whereas a press up, right there and then, you are aware that you have no upper body strength. So breaking it down, and that's on your Instagram.
Yeah, and I think as well, you know, with exercises like that, and often actually the difficult thing with social media is that you can have people that put out, you know, what looks like really hard, complicated exercises, but actually the transference of people then being in their own home and being able to do that stuff is very low, because, you know, not all of us are super fit and have trained for years and years. So for people that are just getting into exercise or just wanting to see how they can get from A to B, you know, for example, with you, how you could get from not being able to do one push-up to be able to do one full push-up, you really do have to break it down. And as a coach, there's a certain amount of responsibility too, to be able to make sure that, you know, I'm not just putting out stuff that I can do and I find easy on my page, but that I do stuff that I know is relevant to my audience. And so, yeah, that's been a really nice way and a really nice thing to be able to give to people. And I've had loads of really nice feedback from people saying, I've managed to do one full push-up now. I feel so much stronger, you know, and that's been great. Like, it's so nice to hear from people and get that positive feedback.
Absolutely. That is such a great, supportive way to help us improve our fitness, but also the technique. Like you said, lots of people can make it, you know, look really slick, but then you try and it's like, oh, this does not look or feel the same.
It's good to have those mental cues so that you know what you're supposed to be looking for. Because if someone just does a push-up, you know, I have a lot of cues that I give where I'm like, squeeze your inner thighs together as if you're holding a piece of paper, or, you know, tuck your pelvis under so that you're not arching through your back. Like, there's just little things that you can say to people that they go, oh, okay, now I know what she means or what she's trying to coach.
I know how to do it properly. That's fantastic, especially when we're on our own. What we talked about it briefly, but we didn't have any specifics. What would you advise us to use as weights or alternative gym equipment from our own home?
I mean, there's loads of ways in which you can add resistance to exercises. One of my favorite things I've seen over the last couple of weeks has been people putting stuff into a backpack. So loading up a backpack with some heavy books and using that for like squats and deadlifts and that kind of stuff. That's been really good, because I think that's a really nice way to, and it's a safe way to load the body. You know, we're used to wearing backpacks anyway. So I think as long as it's safe, there are so many things around your house that I'm sure you can find to add resistance to exercises. And that's all that weight training is. It's just adding a bit more resistance than just your own body weight. So it doesn't have to be really complicated. But yes, the backpack with the books is one of my favorites, but I've seen people use wine bottles. I've seen people use big bottles of water. I've seen people use cans from the cupboard, you know, soup cans or whatever. So yeah, a real mixture.
Now, when you're not working out, because I know you do give yourself a couple of rest days, how do you rest your body and mind?
You know, as an exercise professional, one of my key kind of components of my ethos as a coach is that rest is just as important a component of your overall approach to exercise than the exercise itself. They go hand in hand in terms of how your body is able to adapt and recover from the exercise that you're doing. So for me, it's really important to not only take rest myself, but to encourage my audience to do the same. And so a typical rest day for me can be anything from, you know, doing a gentle walk if I feel like I have energy, to laying on the sofa and being horizontal for the whole day, which I have definitely done. And it just means that
that's good to hear.
And your body has time to just allow itself to relax and adapt and recover. To lower the stress level so that you're not constantly, you know, because exercise is a stress in the body, and albeit a good one for the most part, we can also have too much of a good thing. So it is important to take those down days to allow yourself to recover, and then you can really attack your training when you get back to it. So yeah, rest days for me are, if I have energy, getting out, maybe doing a gentle walk, maybe a bit of a stretch, something like that. But believe me when I say there are many days where I do stay horizontal, watching a film,
totally chill,
sunbathing. Yeah, yesterday was one of those. We had a really lovely day. We just went to the park and laid in the park, and it was perfect. So yeah, they do happen, and I think it's really important to remember how vital that rest is.
What motivates you, Alice, if you're feeling lethargic and lacking energy, but you know that exercise will make you feel better? How do you motivate yourself?
Yeah, I think it's a great question. I think it's actually something that people have struggled with a little bit more during lockdown, because, you know, whereas I would usually go to the gym and be motivated in my process of going to the gym by getting a coffee and putting on some good music, I literally have to go from my bedroom to my living room to work out and try and get myself motivated. So it has been challenging, and I've definitely had days where I've just thought, I can't be bothered. I don't feel very inspired by what I'm doing. But things for me are, have a plan in place, know what you're going to do. So I have a program that I follow, and so I don't even have to second guess about what I'm going to do in my session. I know that it's already written for me, and I know exactly what I've got to do within that session. But that could be as simple as you saying, I'm going to do a class. You know, there are so many live online classes at the moment. It could be as simple as saying, you know, I'm going to write down 6 exercises that I'm going to work through. But having a plan and having some structure is really important. And on the topic of structure, structuring it into my day. So my day very much is kind of built around the things that I see as non-negotiables, and exercise on some days is definitely one of those things. So I make sure that I get up first thing, I have my coffee, and then I do my exercise first thing in the morning, because that's when I feel most motivated to train. And so, doing that first thing means that it's kind of like it's done, and I don't have to think about it, and then I can move on with the rest of my day. So structure is also really important, but then also just start to set yourself some really simple goals. And I think, you know, even at home, you can start to work on things. Like for me, for example, there are various exercises that I kind of don't do, body weight stuff, and that I don't do when I am in the gym, because I focus on like the big kind of more sexier lifts. But actually, it's been great to be stripped back with my training and focus on other things and readjust my goals, so that I really have a focus within my training. And I think that's really important for a lot of people, to have like some kind of a focus as to what you're working towards. Otherwise, it can sometimes feel like you're just sort of, you don't really know what you're doing with it. And sometimes that goal could literally just be, I want to feel good from exercise. And that's fine. You don't always have to be working to something really specific, but just kind of have a knowledge of, I know what I'm working towards. I know that in doing the exercise, I'm going to feel good. So yeah, I think those are some of the ways in which I stay motivated. Also, great playlist helps.
I totally agree with this. Having routine and structure, and I also prefer exercise first thing, because then I can't put it off.
Exactly.
Or maybe after lunch, and then I'll get to after lunch and you'll think, you know, maybe I'll have more energy during dinner. You won't do it first thing. It's the only way I can do it. I'm the same. And what is your favourite post-workout snack to make at home? And I'm asking this because I'd love one of these now. I saw some delicious date and banana flapjacks on your Instagram.
Yes, I know. They were delicious, actually. And I've been doing quite a bit of baking and stuff while I've been home, because it's actually really nice. I don't usually have time to make as much stuff as I have been, because I've not got anywhere to go. I've had time to bake. So I'm a big fan of having, like you said, flapjacks. I sort of bake like healthy homemade sort of energy balls, flapjacks. But for me, one of my favorite post-workout snacks is having like a protein, especially at the moment as well, like a protein shake with, we have this chocolate salted caramel protein, which is amazing. It's like a vegan kind of protein. And I mix that with like some almond milk and some oats. So having good like post-workout carbs, and that is delicious. But what else?
I think that for me on some days would be an incentive to work out. Yeah. I'd be like, I'm going to work out because then I can have my chocolate salted caramel.
Yeah, it is a good motivation. And honestly, like when I'm training, sometimes all I think about is, what am I going to eat after this? I'm planning my meal afterwards. But no, that's one of my favorites. But we've had all sorts of stuff. Like I got really into eating the pop chips. Do you know pop chips? Barbecue flavor. Oh my God, they are.
Barbecue.
Barbecue. Oh,
yeah, there's something about barbecue flavor that's really addictive.
So Moorish, but so good. Yeah, so that's another one that we've been loving.
I went through quite a filthy Doritos chili heat wave phase.
Oh, yeah. Although they're a little bit too spicy for me.
Happens. Now, totally changing the subject, I have seen that you recently shot your 3rd cover for Women's Health magazine. Many congratulations. That is a huge achievement.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean,
it's crazy.
Who'd have thought it? Yeah. Thank you.
And what would your advice be to those watching who just want to look and feel inside and outside their best, as if they were going to shoot their very own magazine cover?
I think.
How did you get ready for it?
It's a really nicely worded question, actually, because, for so long I dreamed like that I wanted my body to look like someone else's. And, I did, that very much. Well, they've done that, so I should be doing that. And that kind of comparison culture that you fall into, which actually led me down a really dangerous path. And I think actually for this cover and what I felt so positive, why I felt so positive about it was that I just thought I just want to be, me and me as I am. I don't feel like I need to change anything or do anything differently. And I would say that, we have come to appreciate that health is such a nuanced subject matter. There isn't one way of doing it. There's not one perfect approach to health. It's so complicated and personalized, and it's going to mean different things to every person. So I could sit here and say, for me, health is X, Y, and Z. And that might be completely different to what it might mean for you. So for me, and getting myself in the most positive frame of mind for that shoot, it was about good mental health. I have therapy. I make sure that I take care of my mind, because that then in turn takes care of my body. I make sure that I exercise regularly, but in a really kind of compassionate way to my body. I don't punish myself with exercise or use it as a way to sort of like unwrite my wrongs. And I use it as a thing that I find is a really kind of positive addition to my body, rather than kind of punishing it in any way. And same with food. Food is there for me now to just nourish myself, to be able to enjoy, and not just as a kind of a fuel for my body, which I would used to see it as, I'm just eating for energy. Whereas actually, like, food is so wonderful in so many ways, and it's such a nice thing to be able to enjoy, that I think my approach to that has also completely changed. So yeah, those were the kind of key things that I looked at. But my advice to people is find what works for you, because as much as you can listen to experts online and people saying, oh, these things are really, really great to do, until you work out what's important to you and what works best for you, you can be very kind of distracted by other things that might not be. I remember I used to go to CrossFit, and it was just because I'd seen other people doing it and I thought, oh, I should be doing that. That's something that I should be doing. Whereas actually, like, I didn't really enjoy it. And as soon as I stopped it, I was like, oh, I feel so much better for not doing that, you know? So I think it's really important to just find what works for you, and to experiment, and to make sure that at the core of everything you're doing, there is an enjoyment factor, you know, with exercise, with the food you eat, with the way that you approach life. You've got to enjoy it. Otherwise you're not going to be able to stick to it.
It won't be sustainable. And in terms of what other people are doing, it's their business and not yours.
Yeah.
Something I always, you know, it's hard for everyone. Not, you know, you end up looking at other social media feeds or jobs people have had, and you compare yourself. And actually, I remind myself, that's their business. It's nothing to do with me.
Yeah.
CrossFit, good for them. Actually, I don't like it. And it's a different mindset, isn't it? To try and, I guess it's a time.
It takes time. And, you know, I wish, I mean, I sit here saying it as though it's so easy just to be like, I'm just going to stop comparing myself. But I still do it all the time. You know, I have moments where I'm like, I have to really check myself and be like, don't compare yourself to that person. Like,
yeah,
get on with your own stuff. But definitely being aware of it is the first step, and being aware of comparing yourself to other people means that you can check yourself should you fall into a mindset of, you know, scrolling through Instagram and being like, oh God, I wish I looked like her, and I wish I had her this, and, you know, that kind of thing. So I think just being aware of it does help you to sort of check yourself and keep yourself in a positive mindset.
Oh, we're definitely all guilty of it, aren't we? Boys and girls, but a lot of girls. Very hard not to. Alice, what makes you feel strong?
Oh, I think lots of things. You know, I think for me, physical strength had a huge contribution to me feeling better as a, you know, mentally as well. That's, you know, when I first started approaching weight training and doing all those kind of things, for me, physical strength actually brought so many other elements to me, and was hugely empowering. But actually for me, strength goes beyond the physical. And whilst it can, you know, contribute, I think for me, true strength is that sense of resilience that, you know, I can get through whatever is thrown at me, and that, you know, I will have challenges that I'm going to have to overcome, but that I will have the strength to be able to do that. And on the flip side of that as well, also being able to be vulnerable. You know, I think strength, for a lot of people, they see it as a kind of indestructible force that, you know, you never have a bad day, and you're always on, and you're always being successful. And actually, like, for me, showing vulnerability is one of the biggest strengths. Being able to say, I'm having a really bad day, being able to show emotion, being able to show weakness in what, you know, whatever weakness is, but being able to show your flaws and that you're not perfect, because I think that actually for me is true strength. And so, yeah, those are some of the things that make me feel strong, and that I see as, you know, far more important than the physical.
Who gives you strength?
Who gives me strength? Oh, so many people. You know, I draw strength from sometimes, you know, followers that message me, from people around me, from my friends, from my family. But ultimately, I think from me, I think I think it's important to take responsibility for your well-being and your own kind of like journey through life. And so I know that, and one of the things that makes me feel very comforted is that, like, I can rely on myself to get through stuff, and I can be resilient in that. And sometimes that means that I do have to ask for help, you know, that, you know, I reach out to others and I say that I need support. But yeah, I think knowing that I am strong enough to get through stuff, I think is really good.